day number one at Sun and Fun, and the sun is coming out here to be part of the Sun and Fun. A little windy today, but we don't mind that because we're playing with airplanes. I'm Dan Johnson talking to Gary Sadowitz, the representative in the USA for this airplane, which I'm guessing you've never seen. Gary, welcome, first of all. Your first visit to Sun and Fun, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
Yeah, excellent. And tell me a little bit about your background with this airplane and why you're representing this airplane. Then we'll get into the airplane itself.
Right, so I'm originally from South Africa where this aircraft was manufactured. I had a very good friend of mine. He bought one of them and just fell in love with it. It's so much fun to fly. He called me up and said, hey, you got to get yourself one of these. So I got in touch with the manufacturer. I got involved, started flying it, just loved it. And long story short, here we are today with Battle in the USA.
Well, I said I wrote about this on my website earlier, and I got a lot of responses, but I got quite a few people that said, oh, I have one, it's the greatest thing in the world. Either they're very enthusiastic about the brand or they genuinely like it, and I suspect the latter based on how they worded their statements. So how long has this airplane been flying now? Let's do a little bit of history about the airplane, because you said it started as something else, so I don't want the whole long detail about that, but bring me up to speed on where this thing came from.
So the origins of the Bad Hawk is out of the Australia. The Bantam. South Africa was just a very big market for it, and the importer there just became the greatest amount of users in the world. They took over the Bantam, and then over the years they've evolved to become the Bad Hawk.
I see. So Bantam is how it started, and then this. And you said it first. Now, a lot of people who come up and look at this airplane go, there's one thing that gets your attention right away, which is unusual because it's clear, but it says canopy.
Wow.
And I said I'd watch some of your videos where there's a camera, I don't know, back there somewhere looking forward, and I went, man, I'm not seeing any optical distortion. Making these is not easy to make them look that way. I mean, that costs some money and that takes some skill and equipment. That's not the way it always was, though.
No, it used to have a hinge down the middle, and they had kind of two doors, yeah, that would open up and you get in that way. But now with the canopy, it's almost like a helicopter. You've got a phenomenal view of where you're going, and that's why it's such a good aeroplane for. It's got some commercial uses where they do livestock, pipeline control. They do a huge amount of conservation in Africa.
Yeah, I noticed on the website there's a lot of work orientation to the airplane. A lot of what they're talking about. We hear about anti-poaching in Africa a lot. I understand that, but there were many other uses. You said a guy has one that he goes up and checks out volcanoes with.
Right, so this is the Rotax 100 and the 9112, the 912. You can also put the 915 on.
915?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just gives it that rate of climb. He climbs up, he actually does some work with a volcano, and they kind of take readings all the time.
I see.
So he climbs up to 15,000 feet, so he gets up there quickly, does what he has to do, and come back down.
Yeah, wow.
They do crop spraying with it, so there's a lot of different applications. And then most importantly, just having fun. It's just a fun airplane.
Okay, so Bantam went to South Africa, became the Bat Hawk. About when did this happen?
It was through the late 80s, 90s, but I would say in 2000s really when the Bat Hawk started evolving.
So I'm cheating a little bit because I found some of this on the website. But I thought, okay, this airplane's been around for a while. This is not some newcomer to the field. It's new to Americans.
Correct.
It's new to Sun and Fun, but this is not a new design.
Not at all. And I mean, there are governments in Africa that actually buy these because it's cost of running them, and they're just so efficient and reliable.
Yeah, I saw a lot of pictures of apparently some ceremony where a lot of government guys in suits and whatnot, military people. But here, as I sit here, I'm like an air molecule now, looking at this airplane and approaching it, and I can see there's quite a significant bow to the canopy. Calling it a canopy instead of a windscreen because it's more like a canopy. But I mean, you're not going to get hardly any wind effect inside this canopy, are you?
Oh, that's correct. You don't get much wind at all. It's just kind of you put your head back and lean right back, you kind of feel the wind come here. But if you're in your normal flying position, there's very little wind.
So it'd be comfortable in colder climates, for example.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've flown it in high 40s, low 50s. Kind of put in a little ski mask, and then you don't even.
So Gary, you're bringing these in now. I understand pretty much as I see it here. What's the category that you're falling under to bring an airplane like this in without having to build?
Right, so these come in complete. Obviously, you take the wings off, they come in a container. But they're coming in as experimental exhibits, and that's how we're flying them at the moment. You know, really, lead times, you're typically looking at about a 3 to 6 months, depending on shipping and stuff like that.
Yeah, shipping's a big question right now. Almost everybody knows that, but assuming nothing bad happens, more bad happens, I should say, I suppose, 3 to 6 months is a reasonable expectation of delivery time.
Right, so it's about a 90-day build and then about a 90-day.
Okay, well that's pretty good. How many of these are flying everywhere?
I'd say
approximately.
Right, so if we take the Bantam out, there's probably about 150 of the new ones, but there's about 400 of.
Okay, so actually quite a good history, and going back 20 or 30 years here. I mean,
right.
Not a new airplane.
And currently the manufacturing South Africa just got a order for about 100 in Africa.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of them.
Well, the bad news about that is it might take you longer to get one. The good news about it is the company's going to be more solid.
Right.
And they'll be there to support you, which is very important once you buy the thing.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how it's built. What the construction elements of the airplane are, Gary. Tell me about that.
Right. So it's tube frame, aluminium all the way through, and then this is a sail that they use. It kind of goes on like a sock, and then it gets strapped across on the top there. Obviously on the elevators and the rudders, it's wrapped around. But it's fabric cloth, well, it's sail cloth that they use.
Okay, I'm looking down here at the landing gear going, that's not all aluminum, I don't think, is it?
No. So that's actually a Kevlar one piece undercarriage.
Single piece all the way across. Tire to tire is one piece.
Tire to tire is one piece. Got a little bit of reinforcing around the tires. It's disc brakes, and just kind of gives you a little bit of cushion when you do land. A little bit of give.
And I'm guessing that's probably a change since the old Bantam days. I'm pretty sure that that's the case because that would logically be so. But given the amount of work that I see this aircraft being used for in South Africa, and the fact that it's been around 20 or 30 years, I'm guessing that this has really evolved to this point over time. Is that right?
And kind of what the manufacturer does is kind of
Let's do a few specifications. Like I want to hear about stall speed. Tell me about cruise speed. Tell me about climb rates.
Okay, so stall speed on this is about 36 knots. Cruise speed is about 77 knots. Climb rate you can get 4,500 depending on who you've got in there. I mean, with 100 horsepower by myself, I can get easy 1,000, 1,200, and kind of keep that going.
What is the empty weight of the aircraft as she sits right here?
She's right at about 580.
580.
580 pounds.
All right.
And
what is its maximum takeoff rate?
So it's kept at about 1,200. She's got a little over 600 pounds of fuel.
Yeah, you got a lot of useful load in it. And people are going to go, well, but what do you need all that useful load for? Well, of course you got the two seats you can see real well, and it looks like a bulkhead back there. That's more Dacron. But behind that, besides the fairing to the tail and whatnot, you said you could put stuff back there.
Oh yeah, guys put golf clubs, put a weekend bag in there,
and what is the access to that?
So there's a compartment on the right hand side with two zippers that open up.
Oh yeah, I see it back there. Okay. Okay, so you zipper it open, you put your stuff in there, you secure it down a little bit so it doesn't go back to the tail. But
and make sure you got your golf club cap on.
Yeah.
Make sure clubs put it right in the back. Okay.
Let's shift gears now and talk a little bit about control mechanism.
Okay.
I see a center stick.
Right.
Tell me more about that. First of all, center stick, and is it all push-pull cables?
Yeah, all push-pull cables.
Teleflex, we often say, but it's a push rod kind of arrangement, flexible push rod.
Correct. This is the flaperons.
Okay.
So you've got a flap control.
That red handle?
That red handle's your flap, so you can kind of get, you got a 45, you got all flaps to it.
Are they notches or is it infinite?
It's infinite. So you just
put it where you want it.
Where you want it. And then so the elevators and the ailerons are working with the stick. The rudders are foot controls of the rudder pedals.
Okay.
And steering.
And rudder pedals to the tail, or is that cable?
That's cable.
Okay, that's usually cable.
throttle.
All right, so center stick and dual control then. Got pedals on both sides.
Correct.
How about brakes?
Brakes, you've got the handle on
I
the
see it on the front of the stick there. Okay.
okay.
So it's both brakes at the same time.
Throttles are to your side, and you've got two throttles.
Ah, okay. So I see a red handle on both sides. That's the throttle. Okay. And yeah, you said put those on both sides. So. All right.
My friend that I was talking about, he's 6'2", and we're not driving short.
Cool. Well, a lot of great information about Bat Hawk. But for people that want to know more, see more pictures, talk to you, maybe order, where do we send them on the web, Gary?
So our contact information is on our website, but my email address is info@bathawkusa.com.
So BatHawkUSA.com, that's the website. There we can find out lots more about the aircraft and how to get it. Very good. You can find more about all kinds of affordable aviation from Bat Hawk to Zenith and everything in between on ByDanJohnson.com. Thanks for joining Gary Sadowitz and myself here at Summit Park.
Thanks, Dan.